But let's just try and record the iPad as I'm doing it here as well. Okay, so this x squared minus 5, if you go through the steps, then the first thing you'll have is that the y-intercept is at -5. So I'm just going to do it on here. The second thing was to solve x squared minus 5 equals to 0, okay? And now for this one, no need to factorize because x is in one location. So again, these are questions we've previously solved. Okay, so x equals the square root of 5. We're going to get a positive and a negative answer for that, okay? I am going to change those to decimals, all right? So I'm getting the calculator out. Root 5 equals 2.24. So I've got x equals to positive or negative 2.24. 2.24, not but 2.25. So 2.24, and again, look, it's a sketch, so it doesn't have to be to scale. But if that's 2.24 in this direction, I'll make it vaguely the same over here. And this sketch is, I can now sketch the quadratic because it does this.
And it's a parabola.
It's a parabola. Now, how do I know that this is actually the lowest point? Well, I know that's the lowest point because the zeros, if you add them together, 2.24 plus negative 2.24 divided by 2, that gives you 0. So x equals 0 is the line of symmetry. So this is x equals 0. That's the line of symmetry. So the line of symmetry is here. It is actually the y-axis. So the line of symmetry is x equals to 0. And so therefore this vertex here is where x equals 0. And when you substitute x equals 0 into the equation, you get 0 minus 5 is -5, okay? So these ones here, I think you've got two, question 4 and question 5 are like this. If you have something like this, then those are actually a little bit easier to do, I think. Okay, so this is videoed. I'll upload the video, and that will help you with question 4 and 5, all right? Now, these have all been smiley face up. Concave up is the fancy word. So the concavity is curvature of the parabola, all right? So this is concave up because it's kind of, you know, heading upwards. This example now is actually going to be concave down. Now we know that because we've got negative x squared here. Okay, negative x squared means we're going to be heading, we're going to be doing this kind of shape, all right? But the steps are just the same. So let's just go through the steps. Okay, so make x equals 0 and y equals, well, 0 plus 0 plus 8. So the y-intercept is here at 8. Now the second step is solve negative x squared plus 2x plus 8 equals 0. And now there's just a trick here that makes life a little bit easier for you. Because you've got an equation to solve here, you can do the first step, which I always like. I'm actually going to multiply both sides by -1. Now watch what happens. If I multiply both sides by -1, and I'll just transfer the equation down here, if I multiply this left-hand side by -1, all the signs change. So you've got a positive x squared, you've got a negative 2x, and you've got a negative 8. And on the right-hand side, times by -1 is 0, okay? So for sure, the negative x squared here has to remain on the original equation. That indicates that it's concave down. But when we're trying to find the zeros of the function, where it crosses the x-axis, we're just looking at techniques to solve this equation. And one technique is just to multiply both sides by -1, and then we get this nice equation to solve down here. Now this is just easier to deal with than having a negative x squared for sure, because now, because it's just 1x squared, I don't need the formula, I don't need split the middle term, it's just going to be x and x, and now I need two numbers that multiply to -8, but then also add to -2. Now that's got to be 4 and 2, hasn't it? 4 times 2 is 8, so I think it's -4 times +2. So -4 and +2. So here I've got final answers. X is -2 and x equals to 4. So x equals to 4 is here. There's 4. X equals to -2 is here. And again, it's not to scale, but can you see that halfway between them, roughly, is going to be about here. So therefore, this parabola is going to do this. It's going to keep going up past a height of 8 and back down again, okay? and then we're into the same finish as before. How do you find the x-coordinate of the line of symmetry? Well, this line of symmetry is exactly halfway between the -2 and the 4. So we find the average. 4 plus -2 divided by 2. Well, that's equal to 1. So here's an x value of 1. Okay, so x equals to 1 is the equation of the line of symmetry. And then how do you find the vertex? Well, the vertex is here, and that vertex appears when x equals 1. So we just substitute 1 back into the original equation. So if I try that now, I've got y equals the negative value of 1 squared, that's important, the negative value of 1 squared, plus 2 times by 1, plus 8. And what you'll find is that's 8, 9, 10, subtract 1 is 9. So this vertex is 1, 9. Okay, I will stop recording that now.